know what I mean? So just so you guys know too, we would like at some point we want to do like a live stream. I think we were talking about that, right, Devin, before?
Oh yeah, yep. We definitely want to make sure we do that, and interact with the audience, have some fun.
Fuck it,
So
man. We gotta do it again. Oh,
because what I've learned myself as well as Nelson is you don't know what someone is going to be a podcast to where we just want to share experiences as well as learn from experiences. So
awesome, man. 3, 2, 1, and we're live once more. What's going on, you guys? My name is Nelson,
I'm Devin.
and welcome back to the Qbox. Guys, we have a beautiful episode for you today. It's just gonna be exciting, as we continue to grow this podcast. We just really want to touch on things that are again, like we said, relevant and things that are there to kind of lift people. Of course, we're not gonna always do that. We're gonna also have topics once in a while that are like on some real life, scenarios where it's gonna help you every single day.
Oh yeah.
And so yeah, just guys, just stand by for that. We're working every day, coming up with new ideas. If you guys have ideas, definitely drop a comment below, and we'll do our very best to accommodate those suggestions and topics. So how you feeling today, Devin? What's going on?
I'm good. I'm loving it. I'm ready to rock and roll. It's almost like I said last week. I'm just ready to have some fun, ready to go over some of the topics that we have for today, and again, just be vulnerable, as I continue to say. And
I noticed that. I noticed you say that a lot. Like, can I ask you a question? Because I get it, but for our viewers, like, what do we mean when we say something like being vulnerable? What does that mean for you personally?
what comes to my mind immediately is speaking our truth, and that alone can be, for most people, can be pretty tough. There's a wall that at times anyone can have, and it's just natural, just
True.
natural to have that wall up. So for us, as we continue through this journey in these episodes, my wall is slowly coming
Mm-hmm.
down. There's a lot of things, obviously, about me as well as I
Yeah.
know about you. But even like I alluded to in the very first episode, there's going to be things that, even on this episode, there's no telling what you may say or I may say that I don't know, that actual part of your life. So that is really what I mean when I say be vulnerable.
I
Just
love
have
that.
just have that opportunity just to express what's on our minds, whatever that is. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for me, I guess it's kind of similar. Like you say vulnerable, and I personally say just being transparent. So we kind of have our own unique way of saying the same thing. From my side, the way I would define that is if you're transparent, you let people see who you are, and at the same time, it really just it establishes a certain level of trust with anyone that you engage in contact with, whoever you converse with on a regular basis. And the last thing we want, well, me personally, is for somebody to misunderstand me and not get my journey, And so yeah, I think
absolutely.
it's a different way of looking at the same vulnerability. It's a different angle of that, in my opinion. But yeah, it's very interesting. I was just curious what you thought about that, and just wanted you to shed some light on it for our viewers. So
Good question. Good
yeah.
question.
Speaking of which, guys, if you are tuning in for the first time, please do us a lovely favor and subscribe to our podcast. We have awesome content. We're gonna in the next couple of weeks, Devin. Right? We're gonna have a bunch of guests on,
Oh
from
yeah.
film, music, even from the medical field. We actually we were talking about
Excited
it the
about
other
that.
day. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's what was the topic? It was a doctor. He specializes in sleep.
Sleep. Yep.
So like, there's so many different things, like, like for example, you talk about sleep. It's we don't really understand the value of sleep sometimes because we're so stuck in this thing called life, and
Absolutely.
sometimes it's important to take a step back and evaluate the way you rest. So he's extremely knowledgeable. We're not going to get too much in that. We're going to say that for the episode when we bring them
You
on,
got to
but
save it.
yeah, it's exciting. We're getting super amped up for all these episodes to come. So definitely tune in. get ready to rock and roll with us because it's gonna be super super fun. Um, Another thing, Devin, we were talking about it the other day as well. We're trying to do a live stream in a not so distant future. Um,
Yes,
uh,
we have to do it.
yeah, when were we thinking of doing it again? You want to tell
Hopefully,
me?
I would say in the next week.
Yeah, next week or so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in the next week, I think is a good time frame. And again, this is just to interact, with our subscribers that we have now. Hopefully, interact with some new subscribers, or potential
yeah,
new subscribers. And again, just an opportunity, almost like an after hours where you can just get to ask us some questions. There could even be an opportunity for suggestions of what you just mentioned, what we could talk about on future episodes. And again, obviously we have to take on the new digital age and make sure we're
for
interacting,
sure. Oh
with
yeah,
with the capabilities that we have at our fingertips. So that's something that we're definitely going to do and make sure that we're interacting with anyone we can, when we're on there. So just get ready, and again, we'll make sure to make those announcements when we are going to do it. So
nice, definitely. You've been following up with this past weekend. There's this UFC fight, UFC 253. Did you catch that? The
I
fight?
did. I caught the highlights.
Oh,
So
okay, okay. You
I,
didn't
don't-
see it.
I didn't get a chance to see the full fight, but the highlights I did see pretty good.
Yeah,
Adesanya. Hopefully I'm saying in
yeah.
kosher.
It's a unique name. Yeah,
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 it is a unique name. But yeah, Adesanya, that was a good fight. I haven't. It's been some time, believe it or not. It's been some time since I've watched UFC. I love UFC. I have to credit my brother for turning me on to that when he
yeah,
was back in college. I knew of it, but I hadn't followed it yet. And
yeah.
definitely when I was watching it, I mean, there's a ton of people I can't even begin to name, who was fighting when I was watching it. But one that comes to my mind just immediately, and again, there's a ton, is Anderson Silva. But Adesanya, I know we were talking about this off air, does seem to, from the clip that I saw,
Yeah.
He does seem to, in his style of fighting, resemble Anderson Silva, in his own way. Obviously, he's unique from the clips that I can see, but definitely that was a good fight. Ended in, KO, which I know many around the world saw. And yeah,
Yep.
I have always enjoyed martial arts since I was a kid. I mean, all the karate movies. I mean, obviously anyone can mention Karate Kid, but what comes to my
Yeah.
mind, Bruce Lee,
Yeah.
Van Damme, his movies, all the blood sports. And so
Wow,
I've
you're
always,
going way back. Oh,
yeah, I'm going way back. So
I
yeah,
remember that.
oh
Remember that
yeah.
weird? You remember the weird music back then? It was just strange. Remember that? It's the weirdest music I've ever heard.
Dude.
When you hear it now, you're like, "What was I thinking?" But
Right.
at the time it was cool.
It was. I mean, that was all we knew. So there was
Yeah.
nothing. I mean, the music and the way it segued in the scenes. I mean, I still love, and obviously I'm biased. I still love a good '80s movie, definitely
Yeah.
'90s.
Absolutely.
I mean, those movies are our time as well as '80s. But yes, getting back to martial arts, I definitely have to make sure I get back into it. And I say get back into it in terms of watching it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the highlights I did see was pretty good. What'd you think about it?
Oof. Well, I had the opportunity to see it firsthand, and you have to imagine I'm in Germany, right? So the way it works, like basically, with this whole pandemic, they're not allowed to fight, and obviously any UFC fan right now obviously knows this, that they, at this moment they cannot actually go to see their favorite fighter fight in live person, because of the pandemic. So they're forced to watch it online and stream it. And so for me, it's really difficult because I'm 6 hours ahead, and usually when they're showing the UFC fight, it's usually at the 7 or 8 p.m. at night, Eastern or Pacific Standard Time,
Mm-hmm.
within those ranges, yeah. And it's extremely. I have to be up at like 4 a.m. Germany time to actually catch the fight itself. So anyway, long story short, it was very interesting because I was like, I'm a big fan of Israel Adesanya. I think he's absolutely phenomenal. He's a true martial artist. He really knows how to kick butt, like 100%.
I will
And
say I did see a lot of good little welts on Costa's leg
Yeah,
in
he
the
got
clip. So
caught on the legs for
I
sure.
saw both his legs were pretty red. So I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
he got tagged pretty good. So
If, in my opinion, if it was a lot, I want both of them to win. But of course, for me, it was that's not how it works. It's
someone's got to lose.
yeah, they were both undefeated. Israel Adesanya was 19-0, and Costa was 13-0. Just stylistically, I knew deep down inside, Costa was gonna get caught. And it happened. Unfortunately, he got caught out there. Got TKO'd. Not knocked out. He got TKO'd. Actually, I don't know if you caught that, but he.
Yeah, no, I caught that in the clip.
Yeah. So he was. Yeah, man. It was. Unfortunately, in my opinion, I don't think Costa was really fighting as he would normally fight. He didn't fight his normal fight, but at the same time, you're talking about Izzy, Adesanya. That's his nickname, Izzy. And yeah, he just dominated. He picked this dude apart and won. So kudos to him. I think he did a great job on that.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, no, I'll definitely have to make sure I follow both of them. And like I said, it's just been not anything purposeful, but it has been some time since I've sat down and just, as slow as the world has slowed down, there's other things that I've focused my attention on. And, but it was good. It was good. I'm glad you shared that with me, me that fight, because the highlights again that I saw was pretty cool. So, one thing, speaking of highlights, Grant, I'm taking a little bit of a shift here.
Oh yeah, sure.
The Ravens, as I mentioned in the first episode, I am risen from Baltimore, and I tell you that the Chiefs played the Ravens. I used to live in Kansas City. Lived in Kansas City for a year. Lived in Kansas for a very long time, but the Chiefs kicked our behinds, and
oh really?
And I won't say I wasn't expecting, because Patrick Mahomes, which is the quarterback, and you have Lamar Jackson, which is the quarterback for Baltimore Ravens. I couldn't. Yeah, we definitely we're going to learn from that. Meaning the Ravens, but they're both really good teams. I feel like for the Ravens, we obviously still have a chance. I mean, we're now 2-1, and the Chiefs are 3-0. But yeah, I had to put that out there. The Ravens, we will return. But yeah, I don't know what happened last night, but Mahomes, they were throwing some good plays. I mean, sometimes you just got to, call what you see, and again, you learn from it. And it just kind of reminded me of, as you're saying, with Costa, you thought that fight could have went a different way. And, same thing with the Ravens and the Chiefs. I won't say I thought it was going to go a different way. We knew that it was going to be a head-to-head battle. They're both really good quarterbacks. Obviously, Mahomes has a really good arm. Lamar Jackson has a really good running game. But for the Baltimoreans out there, we're coming back. So
awesome.
We took the L yesterday, but we'll be back.
Yeah, it's funny. You mentioned the Ravens. A lot of the listeners don't even know that I was actually also living in Maryland as well. I lived there for 2 years, and I spent my last 2 years of high school there. And believe it or not, our football team ended up winning for high school. Ended up winning the state. They were like the state champions.
Oh wow. Didn't know that.
For the state championship, we ended up playing at Baltimore Stadium for the Ravens.
Oh, okay, MNT.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're from there, so you gotta. It's been so long for me, so.
Yep.
But it's crazy. Yeah. It was a crazy experience. We killed it. We won the championship, and yeah, it just brings me memories. Just give me a flashback of the field there. That's crazy.
Yeah, I would love to see us win the Super Bowl. So we're talking about real big championship. Keep our fingers crossed. We still got time. So hopefully the Ravens, we can bring it home.
Exactly. Man, there's so many crazy things going on in this world. And not necessarily crazy, but just there's so many developments. There's pandemics happening. There's just a lot of life things happening, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah.
And I was actually reading an article, and I came across this article in the technology world. We're big fans of technology. We said we're going to talk about that. I love
technology.
Yeah.
Love it.
And I think I shared it with you earlier. It was called the wearable. It's like a wearable technology. So basically what that is if somebody, like, basically if somebody has paralysis of any kind, they have this equipment that connects sort of to the brain, and basically what you do is if you think about, hey, I want to move my leg, it interacts with that part of the body and moves with you. So you literally control it with your thoughts.
Wow.
And there was a funny, for me, that's back then, it's for me, it's interesting is that it's because it's like, uh, you never know, like what can be developed. You never know what's out there, what somebody's
Absolutely.
working on when you're sleeping. And uh
It's 24 hours in a day.
yeah,
I always say that.
exactly, when you're sleeping, somebody else is up creating something
Somebody's working.
beautiful.
Hmm.
And going deeper into this article, there's a very, very touching story for me, where there was a woman who basically was paralyzed from the neck down, and the I think the name of the disease was called Guillain-Barré. And when I
Never
heard
heard of it.
that, you never heard of it? Yeah. So
Nope.
Guillain-Barré basically affects the nervous system, and basically, it's often, I'm no expert in that field, but just from my, and I'll get to the experience part in a minute. You get paralyzed from the neck down, and usually most people don't ever come out of that experience. So the fact that they created something like this to enable somebody to have hope in walking again, that for me, that was absolutely touching. And the reason why I feel that way is because when I was 2 to 3 years old, it's been so long, guys, forgive me. My mother was diagnosed with the same disease, Guillain-Barré, where she was paralyzed from the neck down. Okay,
Wow.
so she
I
had to get,
never knew that.
yeah. I mean, you always saw the scar, but you never knew. She always had a
Never knew.
scar on the neck, and we never knew. We never talked about it really.
No, no,
But basically, just so you know, and this is the first time you're hearing this, actually,
it is.
officially, like the details. She was paralyzed from the neck down, and from my understanding, it was due to some sort of, I think, some sort of like strep throat, problem that she didn't take care of. And so, to make a long story short, this technology didn't exist back then. So it was just absolutely mind blowing, how, like, she found a way to walk again. You know, like,
Yeah.
couldn't eat normal. And I remember this, and it, of course, it makes me a little bit like, wow, it touches me really deeply, because it's just like, what if that didn't exist then, but she still found a way to walk. So
This
kudos
is
to everybody
incredible.
that's, yeah, for whoever created this, many blessings to that, because that's, not everybody gets to walk out of that. And so when I heard Guillain-Barré, I said, without putting too much business out there from from my mother, I would definitely
Yep.
want to touch on that a little bit, because that's very, very powerful, I would say, discovery in technology for sure, or breakthrough
Absolutely.
would be a better word for that. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so that's pretty cool.
No,
Definitely.
thank you for sharing that, brother.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that even though, yeah, and I'm just soaking in what you just spoke about. That is incredible, and that is the beauty of the evolution of technology. It just keeps evolving and evolving, and at times it can seem like technology is taking over in some areas of our life,
Yeah.
or we're allowing it to take over. But that is a really cool story
Yeah.
that you shared, and even more so to say mom. So if I say mom, my mom's his mom's my mom. So
Exactly.
it goes both ways. But to hear that story about mom is incredible, meaning for her to get through that, without having such a technology. And I know she's very strong-willed, love her to death.
Absolutely.
And as well as mine is,
Absolutely.
both on both ends are strong-willed women. So
What's so
I'm
funny? I was gonna say Mama D,
right.
but they
Hey,
both names start. No, but both of the
both
names start
that,
with a D.
yeah. Until you just said that, it sounds silly, but it's like
Yeah.
technically yes.
Yeah.
Technically, yeah. Both start with a D, but
You never
but
know
no,
the difference.
no, exactly. Yeah, we definitely can. We say Mama D, it's like, okay, which mama are we talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
They're both are mamas, but which one specifically? But no, thank you for sharing that, brother.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, it's, and that just brings us to the next point, like how important family is. Like,
Hmm.
families one of the most powerful things in this world. And the whole mentorship, the development, growing up, and you know,
Absolutely.
just having those important figures in our life. Besides the family, obviously, how do you value mentorship, uh, and if there's any mentors that have been in your life, what can you say those people were, for example?
Immediately, um, I, I mean, there's so many people, and I say people in terms of my family that have affected me in more ways than one, into the growing man. So as I say, I'm still growing, so I'm still evolving. I always say I'm not a finished product, so I don't want to be a finished
Absolutely.
product because there's still so much room for growth. But to answer your question, Nell, immediately who comes directly to my mind, and again, I'm going to go down the list. So any family listening, believe me, I'm not going to not mention you. But who comes to my mind is my brother. So my brother definitely has been my right hand man my entire life, and even into adulthood. We're not too many years apart, but he is someone that I've always looked up to, and even as a father. So that's something we'll have to touch on. But even as a father, um, that is something. Obviously, I have my own developmental process. He has his own developmental
Hmm.
process, meaning as growing fathers. But to have the ability to have a conversation with him about whatever's on my mind.
Right.
I always use the word for him. To me, is he has a unique ability to refocus me in
Oh
what
yeah.
in whatever that may be. And he knows there's select. Again, I always talk about having perspective, but there's select people in my life to where they really can just sit me down and say, "Hey, let's get you focused here." Not saying that I may not be, but it's just like, okay, really getting laser focused. And I know people have heard that term, or that phrase, I guess, more or less, a lot of times. But for him, and as the podcast goes on, I can
Hmm.
definitely shed more light, and just again my own personal experiences. But he's definitely one at the very top. Obviously, Mama D, as you say,
Which one?
my Mama D,
Okay,
So,
perfect.
and
By the
yeah,
way, we didn't plan it. That was so like we literally realized that right now.
no, it really was. I was like,
All these years.
I never really thought it sounds so simplistic, but yeah, I never really thought about it. But my mother's definitely at the top, of keeping me grounded and being that I say mentor, but in a sense that is what she is, as well as my grandmother, my father's mother. Definitely, she has been a huge asset and a mentor. And I guess coming back full circle, it if you have that out there, it doesn't always have to be family. That is that can be huge. In your developmental process, even into adulthood. Obviously,
Right.
it can start young, but sometimes you may not have that mentor when you're younger. Luckily for me, I did. Mentors, plural, but that has been huge. And
Yeah.
last, I'll say, is the man on the other side of the world, which is Nelson. So in
Appreciate
terms
that,
of
man.
being a mentor, and I know that goes back and forth for both of us, but I,
Absolutely.
I say that to say, if there is a time I wake up or whatever's going on, doesn't have to mean that I'm just in a negative space, but if there is something I need to reach out to you about, it's just an immediate, like we're doing now. We're just smiling,
Yeah.
and we're laughing, and we're giving each other, advice on whatever that may be, but it's never a
Yeah.
scenario where we're trying to tell one another what to do. It's really, hey, this is how I feel,
Yes.
and I think it just also comes with the connection that you have with whatever mentors you have out there. But definitely the importance of family, coming back full circle, what you were mentioning, is huge. I couldn't say where I would be, and I know tons of other people could say the same thing, but I can't say where I would be without my inner circle, aka my family. Which again, you're in that, my
Hmm.
brother's in that, my mother, my grandmother, and so many more. But what just kind of put that question back on you now. How do you feel the importance of family? Is there anyone that has been, that just comes off top of your head, a mentor, to you, or more than one? Obviously, I mentioned good, what,
Yeah.
3, 4. So
Yeah, for me, well, first of all, thank you for sharing that. That's crazy.
yeah,
And it's beautiful at the end of the day to be, first of all, even blessed with the opportunity to have mentors. I think a lot of people in the world are not having this opportunity. And, you know, I'm just happy that thankfully during our growth process every day, our journey, our life journey, we've been able to have those figures in our life to kind of give us balance. And so that's pretty cool, man. Thank you for sharing that.
yeah,
Um,
no problem.
for me, there's so many layers to it. And I say that because I have a lot of mentors starting from when I was born. Obviously, you have the parents. My mother was an incredible, to this day still like my main go-to. If I'm like having an issue or something, she'll reset my focus. If I'm off, if I don't feel good about something, and she just has that ability to reset, realign my perception, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, that
And
makes sense.
also, I would say my father and my mother they were together, but they didn't stay together for very long. And so I was raised by a military guy, who's been an absolute blessing for me as well. And I'll tell you this, both parents, my stepfather and my real father, they had their own unique way of raising me to be who I am, and I think that's pretty cool. Where one, focused on a different area, whereas that might be leadership or how to be a man. The other one focused on my creative abilities and just also gave me leadership ideas. So in some form of way, all that mixed together with my mother, it was just an absolute, it was like literally a trio of mentors there
Yeah,
to kind of help
yeah.
develop the person I am today. And so,
You've heard the phrase, "It takes a village to raise a
yes,
child." So
absolutely.
there's that village analogy, and that's for both of us. And I'm just speaking openly.
Yes.
My mother is a true, and she's not the only one, but she is one that said that. And even to this day, it takes a village to raise a child. But anyway,
That's powerful. No, that's great. I completely agree with that concept. I never thought of it that way. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. So like these three had their own unique way of course, my mother being the main consistent, person there, because um, when my mom was with my stepfather, we ended up traveling the entire planet, like going to different military bases all over the world. So we've been to Italy, Germany. So that kind of segues into our whole military brat extravaganza or adventure. And
definitely was an adventure.
yeah, and it's to make a long story short, that's just one layer, and I can talk about that for days, because this you're talking many years of that. I'm 35
Mm,
years old, and
yeah.
it's
Same here.
yeah, you're 35 as
Yeah.
well.
It's not like I
Little
say I'm 21. It's like, no, that day's past,
yeah, yeah.
or birthday. So
Yeah, we're
age and
35 years
birthday.
old, and we're not the oldest people in the world, but like, you could see a lot in 35 years, I would say. So, uh, so yeah, so there's layers to it. It started with obviously the foundation, and this is how I look at life. When it comes to family and mentorship, you got to do it. You have to start it young. So the foundation has to be absolutely vital to your success. As you develop become smarter and just educate yourself with life. That makes sense. And so yeah, then you dive into the musical world. Then I had a lot of layers within those realms as well. Uh, everything from learning how to sing better, how to articulate better, how to speak in front of people, how to perform. There's so many layers to this life lesson. I think we were talking about it yesterday, Devin, where you
We
know
were.
we can't there's so many layers to life. You start from being a baby. You start from being a baby to being a little toddler. From a toddler, you go into a boy. Then from a boy, you turn into a teenager. From a teenager, you turn into an adult. And then from an adult, you become married. You have kids. Then you become a grandparent. There's just so many layers to it. And
There are.
and you can't run from it. it's
Yeah.
it's gonna happen. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about life, is that you really get the opportunity to wear many different hats. And right now we're at 35. So you mentioned you're a father, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm also a father.
Hmm.
I have a beautiful son, and I know you have two beautiful daughters,
We
my
got two
nieces.
beautiful daughters. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother podcast episode in itself, and I know we will do it. Which just sharing experiences
Yeah.
as growing fathers, in as they coined the phrase, girl dad, you got boy dad,
Yeah.
hashtags here and there. But one thing is coming to my mind is the importance of laughter in family.
Oh.
So I am a huge comedian. My family knows I'm the one that was, if it was Christmas time, if it was Thanksgiving, it don't matter what time it was. I'm the one, making everyone laugh. So I guess, quote unquote, I'm the entertainer of my
I would
family.
say so, for sure.
Probably so. There's
Yeah.
definitely some video recordings. My uncle has recorded me being my normal true self. I don't know where those are. Hopefully he doesn't leak those. Luckily, those are back on the old little tiny, they look like little miniature cassette tapes,
Yeah.
that you put into, the video camera. But I would say that the importance of laughter is huge. I mean, I am a huge component of laughing, and I know Kevin Hart made a, and it just comes to my head. He made a special called, laugh at my pain, I think is what it's called.
Yeah,
But
I remember
I've
that.
always lived by that, to where, if there was a time where, there was a struggle, between my mom and my brother and I. My mom was a single parent, almost kind of just like you were mentioning about mom, on your end. She was a single parent, up until I was 12, and my brother was 15, when my stepfather came in my life, who is military, and that's where the military journey began. But through some of those tough times, I was the one that would make us laugh, not during the fact, but maybe some months, or years later down the line,
Yeah.
because you have to look back at it,
Yeah.
and you eventually laugh about it, like, it's like, man, that wasn't funny. But sometimes in my mind, I laugh at things I shouldn't be laughing at, but it's just
You
I
got an
can't help it.
interesting humor, Devin. I must
I have
say, your
I have
humor,
an interest in humor. Like, I can't.
it's very abstract, I would say. It's definitely
There's a lot of words for my humor, and I don't even have one. There's a lot of words for my humor. Some people
uh,
say dark humor. I don't know. I got a lot of words for my humor, but
uh,
what I do know is, I would say that the importance of laughter is bringing that positivity to, and I'm not the only one that brings it, but my family knows, and this is on both sides, my mom's side and my dad's side. They know when I come in the room, like, Devin's is about to act a fool. And it's not like I'm purposely walking in, but it's just like, if I'm not laughing and I'm not joking, something's wrong with him,
something's wrong. Yeah.
Right, because their favorite question, if I'm not laughing, is, "What's wrong with you? Someone made you mad?" I'm like, "No one made me mad. I just want to chill here. I just want to sit. I'm not, I don't have any laughs." So it's like they expect that, but
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing, because in that moment, as they say, there's only so many places where you feel like you can truly be yourself.
Absolutely.
Which I also think is important. And again, that in its own way, ties into that vulnerability, because, my family knows me. I don't have to be anyone but Devin, and
Right.
that's a beautiful thing, because when I got to go to work and I got to go here and there, I mean, granted, I'm not a fake person, but to some degree, we all have to put on a mask, of some sort. So it's a beautiful thing when I can take that mask off, and I
Hmm.
can just, as they say, let the floodgates open with jokes,
Wow.
which normally I do.
When you said that, it automatically brought me to the artist Sting. He wrote in a song, he says, uh, "In this life, we're a man of many faces." And guys, don't roast me if I get the lyrics wrong. This is just the first thing that comes to mind. Uh, uh, I'm a man of many faces, but the mask I wear is one. Something like that, he said.
Oh, that's
And
powerful.
that is extremely powerful. And it just kind of segues into what you're saying. And it's the truth. Like, you have to be yourself. You got to be the best you. you can be. I know we talk about that all the time, guys, and we will not stop talking about it. That's just how we are. That's what we do. That's what we talk about. We're we on that light being life, like we like to lift people, you know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
so get used to that, because it's just not gonna stop. Yeah, just get used to
Like,
it.
I think if I'm counting, this is the 100th time he said that in one episode.
96,000 time, yeah, I would
Right,
say.
96. If there's any recommendation, stop saying that. That'd be the comment. That'd be the
Oh
comment.
man,
That'd be the
great.
comment below. But what I was gonna say, obviously, we both know family is clearly important to both of us.
For sure.
There's no way around that. I mean, they continue to shape and help mold us as growing men
100%.
today. And definitely keep us on our toes, which is awesome, because we know we have at any moment's notice that backing.
Yes.
No matter where you're at around the world. So speaking of the world, you said
it's
right, and we're live.
And
we're live. So, but speaking of obviously family,
yeah.
I am still fortunate to where, and I say the word fortunate, I'm still fortunate to where I am still in the States. So domestically, you've had the opportunity, and I say the opportunity, you are currently living in Germany. As people listen to this podcast, they know that now. What are, because the family, is still back here in the States. So for you.
Yeah, my family. Yeah, that's correct.
Yep, your family. So your family, my family, we're all family, but your family's still back here in the States. So clearly moving to Germany, has been a major transition. I think you've been there, what, 6 years? Am I right?
Yep.
Okay.
I had 6 years since April, literally my birthday, April 8th.
Okay. I had to, man, you dropping a lot of gems, man. You dropped our age, you dropping your birthday.
Oh man, we got to go to work. That's good.
Man. Right, exactly. You're like third episode, we're just gonna let it all out. Hey, I don't mind it. It was like, you let it all out. We won't have any episodes left.
I think based on our past meetings, I think that's impossible.
I know. It was like, we have a 4-hour podcast. I was like, hey guys, you could just snip like the other 3 hours, just give us one, we're good. It was like, all right. Maybe we did go a little bit long on life experiences.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
But getting back to you, brother, again, you're in Germany. So, there's so much that, again, I still want to know. But a question that comes to my mind, and again, there's more questions I'll have to follow up with that, but what are some differences that you've experienced living internationally compared to living in the States? And maybe you can just say, from when you first got there, or even up to now, because again, you're talking about a 6-year window. So what has that experience been like? Because again, I am truly a student. I've mentioned it before. I've never been to Germany. I've actually never been to Europe. I am planning to go next year, which
you got to come, man. You got to come. Yesterday.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But I don't want to steal your thunder. So how's that experience been?
Well, I have to say, I have to pinch myself sometimes when I wake up in the morning and, and say, wow, I'm here in Europe. It's just literally, Devin, guys, whoever's listening right now, it's literally a different world. I grew up my whole life, as you guys know already in the previous episodes, I'm from the Bronx, New York City, born and raised, and it was rough. It was rough. In the beginning, it was really rough. It was just me and my mother. And, before she ended up meeting my stepfather. And, we had a lot of rough moments in the beginning, but we figured it out. And, I'm here now. But it's a completely different world. Like, you go, we grow up a certain way with certain cultural foundations or presets of what life should be like, how your mannerisms should be, and the way you express certain things in your language. And literally the first thing that I noticed when I came to Germany was automatically the difference in mannerisms. And
just to shed light on that, brother, can you give me an example? Because again, I don't know. So again,
Sure.
I'm a student. So, I have heard that, from meeting different people. Luckily, even though I haven't traveled around the world, I've traveled domestically, you know, quite a bit here in the States and lived all in every region, but and even here in the States, you know,
Hmm.
we were talking about this the other night, you know, there's different mannerisms or how you ask for certain things. But when you're speaking mannerisms, what does that look like? You know, when you're talking about the States and over there, can you give me like maybe a couple examples?
Yeah, definitely. For example, and this is not saying one is better than the other. It's just literally this is the difference. And in the beginning, I was misunderstanding everything. When I say everything, the way people responded, the way people stared, where we come.
When you
Mhm.
say stare, do you think that they knew you were obviously not German or from
No,
Germany?
no. What, and that's one thing I love about Germany. In a lot of parts of Germany, it's very diverse. There's a lot of mixed cultures here, so that's pretty cool. But I mean, you can tell when somebody's not from here. Obviously through the language, and that was one of the first hurdles I needed to overcome. And uh, going back to the mannerisms, I don't want to go too ahead of myself here, but it's, for example, you go to a restaurant, the customer service is different. The where you grew up in the States, everybody's so, hey, can I get you anything else? Is there anything else you need? If they're really like in your every other 5 minutes, they're checking on you to make sure you're good. In Germany, they do the same thing, the same greeting. Hey, what can I get you? Is there anything? What would you like to drink? Blah blah blah. And then after that, they don't bother you. They come like barely to the table unless you call them over because they don't want to disturb you.
Interesting.
Okay. Yeah, completely different. And unless you need something, you'll call them over. But I noticed immediately they don't bother you. That literally almost the whole time they only come to bring you food. They come to bring you whatever you need, and then whenever they come, then they ask. But then they leave you alone. Also, when you're about to order your food, for example, I know we're staying on the food thing here, but
Yeah, yeah, no, hey,
this is just one example of
yep,
many, right?
no.
Um, if you're looking at your menu, they most of the time, from what I've experienced, they won't come to the table till you have the menu down.
Oh wow, okay.
Because that lets them know that you've already made your decision. Whereas in the States, they come right away. Can I get you anything? What can I get for you today? But the routine
Yep, yep,
at
yep.
home is always like this.
Right.
And so that was interesting. Another cool thing, we're on the topic of, just everyday life.
Yeah, no, I love it because again, I'm learning. So I'm as I say, I'm in the learning seat,
Yeah.
which I love.
Yeah. Have you ever had orange juice with seltzer water in it?
I have not.
Okay,
If
well,
if I have, it must have been a crazy night because I don't remember drinking it.
a crazy night. Wow. It's just called a spritzer.
Right. You know, maybe someone took me down the alley and I was like, I think I had some orange juice with salsa.
It's a crazy night. Oh man, that's good. That's some good stuff. So you must have had a really crazy night if you ended up having apple juice with salsa water in it.
Right. Absolutely. Another crazy night, you know.
Well, listen. I've had a spritzer. We call that a spritzer, right? We know
Mm-hmm.
that. You've heard of that before.
Yep.
In Germany, they never had that. They don't know they don't normally have orange juice with salsa water.
Okay.
Okay, they don't call it salsa water, by the way.
What do they call it?
They call it well, the German word is Sprudelwasser.
Let me try that. See, this is what I need to learn.
Sprudel. I'm sorry, all my German friends are gonna kill me for messing up. Sprudelwasser. Sprudel.
All right, I'm gonna give it a go. Sprudelwasser.
Sprudel.
Sprudelwasser. I got a lot of work to do. I need to quit messing around and get on this app.
I got a lot of work to do, guys. Yeah, that was good. No, dude. Listen, when I first came here, it was really crazy, really intense. And to kind of fast forward, there's a lot of cultural differences that I needed to overcome. The language. The first thing, to live in this country, you have to attend German school. You have to go to Deutsch courses, what they call it.
In my mind, it's going, forgive me, brother. So
yeah,
obviously you've been there 6 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how comfortable in it, or if you could even put a percentage on it, what do you feel the percentage is that German? because as they say, when you go to a country, a lot of time, and I've heard this, for many years, doesn't matter where you go, you at times can understand more
Right.
than generally what you can speak. So
Mm-hmm.
what is your comfort level in terms of understanding
Mm-hmm.
and speaking it? And again, you can put a percentage on it if that makes it easier.
Well, again, I believe in transparency. I think that's the only way to get better. I have a long way to go, but compared to where I was 6 years ago, I was in a rough spot. Like, what did he say? What is he talking about me? I was going crazy.
That's when you're just staring in people's eyes. They're like, "Well, are you gonna say something?"
Yeah, right. What are you looking at me like that for? What's the matter?
You gonna order something, or you expect me to say something to you? You're like,
you got a Walt Disney.
I guess I'm looking to see. Do you speak English?
And you're hoping to God they do. In the beginning, oh my God, I didn't even want to talk. I was literally became a mime. I swear, I was like, I was like rude. I was like, what the hell did I just get myself into?
I am no longer in the Bronx.
No place like home, guys. It was in the beginning. It was a culture shock. And I know we're joking about it. It's funny, but it's exactly what in the world I was going through. Like it was, traveling abroad is different from living abroad.
Absolutely. And again, I've never done it, but I know just from, and I would say us being best friends, you are truly the biggest testimonial, because as I say, it's one thing to hear them. It's another when my best friend lives in Germany, and obviously we're doing a podcast from Germany to the States, and to hear your experiences. It's like I was joking with the other day. It's like outside of seeing the outside of your house, I don't know what it looks like over there. So it's cool because it definitely gives me the anticipation, which I already have, but it gives me the anticipation of, I don't know what to expect. Yes, I could go Google photos and all that type of stuff, but at the same rate, it's mysterious to me right now. I think, and just kind of touch on this really quick, with my stepdad being military, he's been stationed in Germany. I think it was two times. I can't remember the exact amount of times, but my mother did have the opportunity to fly over to Germany. She loved the entire experience. He loved living over there.
It's beautiful.
But the funny thing that they told me is the small refrigerators. So
they exist. That is not a myth, my friend.
Is that real?
Listen.
And I say small in comparison to here in the States. Apparently, we like our big refrigerators over here.
We love our everything big. We like our streets big. We like our refrigerators big. Our milk cartons are freaking huge. Like everything is big. We want to go big or go home. That's our mentality. Right. So exactly. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just
they ask us when you go through a drive-thru, you want a biggie size that, or whatever they ask you.
And the biggie size is the jumbo size over here. It's
right.
Like,
you want a super size or biggie
crazy.
Size. Right. You're like, you know what? Yes. Yeah. I'll do that. I'm feeling lucky today.
Yeah. So to answer your question, yes, the refrigerators here are a lot thinner. I mean, granted, in some homes, they have the double door refrigerators that you can get. Of course, it's everywhere, but it's common. I'll tell you, when you move into your own place over here, a lot of times, back at home.
You're saying I'm moving over there now?
You can if you want.
Oh, okay.
All right. Look, I need a roommate anyway.
Right. I was like, is that an open invitation? He was like, so when you move here, I was like, wait a minute, we gotta talk about this first.
You mind? Yeah.
Right.
It's when you move here, for example, when you go into an apartment or in a house or whatever, at home, everything's provided. You got the kitchen, you have everything inside there. Okay.
Yep.
Ready to go. It's called, plug and play, and you're ready to go. Over here, it's not common that happens. A lot of times you have to buy a new kitchen. A lot of times you have to buy, this is common. A lot of times you have to buy a refrigerator. You have to buy like these main things, like to live your everyday life. Literally, people take their kitchens with them. And it's,
wow. They take the sink, they take everything.
Everything is gone, bro. Everything.
So you come in, you just got an open floor plan.
That was another culture shock thing for me, because I was like, man, I don't want to have to buy a kitchen. Like, I want to buy something that's already in there, like why not, I want
Well,
everything ready to go. I don't want
I'll take just the bare walls. Thank you.
yeah.
That's all.
I'll take the wallpaper,
Right,
thanks.
right. I'll take the wallpaper because the piers, the sink is gone, the stove, even they
And
took the little refrigerator too.
again, this all segues back to the cultural differences, the
Yep.
language, the mannerisms, the way people express themselves every day. Whereas we would think somebody's being rude or looking at us. This is just everyday life, and so you have to imagine the sort of like the amount of time it took me to actually settle in and really get to a point where I'm like, okay, this person's not looking at me crazy. This is normal. Because back at home, it's like, what is this dude looking at me for? Does he
Right.
want to? What's he want to do? Like,
Oh,
this is
right.
truth. This is the way we grew up at home,
Right.
right?
Absolutely. Even in Baltimore,
Right.
same thing.
Exactly. And so here, they're just very observant. They watch you, and they're interested. They're curious, and um, so you do feel like at first I felt like a little bit of like a test rat or something, like not a test
You're a
rat, but like
lab rat.
yeah, I wouldn't even say lab rat. I just felt like uh, I just wasn't used to it.
Right.
And
It was a different element. It was and again, I'm
everything,
just sucking in everything you just
everything,
said.
it's a different element. The over here they're also very health conscious, extremely health conscious. The life,
So in my mind is going. So when you say, obviously, we all know what health conscious means,
sure,
but I'm just trying to understand the differences. So when you say health conscious, give me an example of like from Germany to the States, and I know different regions of even the United States eats a little bit
yeah,
different, So,
absolutely.
but what do you mean by that?
Well, Europe, period, not just singling out Germany, for example. Europe, period, they're very health conscious. And so what I mean by that is there's literally pathways for you to walk everywhere. You have no excuses. Okay, they got
Is there more in probably sounds silly, but you know me, I'm always going to ask a question. Do you feel like they do more biking there?
they do a lot of biking. There's a lot of bike trails. There's a lot of running trails. Like they have literally roads for that on the main streets for
Wow.
bikes, specifically
Okay.
bikes. Whereas you will find that in certain parts of the at home in the United States, it's common literally almost everywhere, Devin. It's absolutely it's beautiful. And
Hmm.
also their food choices, it's here in Europe, period. The portions are smaller. There's not a lot of GMOs in their food. Like it's just different in Europe compared to at home. And
Here's a good question, and it just popped in my head.
sure,
You know how we are. Things just
yeah.
come right to us. So, what is a favorite meal? Because you've
Oh,
been there 6 years.
damn.
It could be more than one. And I'm putting you on the spot. So, what is a? Is there any favorite meal, German meal, true, authentic German, that that has become a go-to? Or whenever you have, whenever you have an appetite, is there any one that you could share? And again, it could be more than one. It just came to me.
Well, one definitely is the schnitzel. It's so good, dude. Like you come over here, have a schnitzel with fries. It's just a combination.
What is a schnitzel?
Basically it's like it could be chicken, it could be pork, breaded. And
No, that sounds good. I'm
it's
hungry.
it's absolutely delicious, really. The schnitzel with fries and I mean they have different variations of the schnitzel, of course. I'm just naming one from what I remember, but
Yep.
yeah, like and there's another common one, but I'm not sure if it's 100% German, but I see it often here. It's
Okay.
called uh the Döner, they say. It's
Say it
basically
again. Okay.
Döner is what it's called.
Duna.
Something like this. Yes,
Okay.
that was better.
I
That was
don't. Yeah.
better. That
Okay.
was
Good.
better.
I don't. I'm not. I can't keep saying words until I get on the app and learn more words because I'm
No,
just
no,
gonna
no
mess them
problem.
up.
Don't worry about it. So basically, with that it's more of like because like I said, it's very diverse. So this is like one of my go-tos while I'm here because it reminds me, the euro. When you ever had a euro, like a Greek euro,
Yeah.
with the
You're talking
lamb
about a
meat and the
sandwich.
bread and all that mixed together with the
Yep.
sauce, all that goodness.
Yep.
Goodness gracious, delicious. So over here, they have it's often they have a lot of Turkish influence here, and with the food, and they have absolutely amazing food. So the Durna is from like from the Turkish communities that are here. It's like this little local spot that I go to all the time.
Cool.
When I'm not eating a schnitzel or something German, food related.
You have a variety. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
you have a
hearing.
variety, and that's what I like about it here. But yeah, fresh fruits, fresh meat. It's also similar to a gyro. The sauce is in the bread. I'll show you when you come over here. I'm gonna hook you up.
Oh,
I got you.
uh, yeah, you might try to kidnap me, or I might kidnap myself. Be like, you know
Yeah.
what? I'm gonna tie my own self up. So,
Nah, it's
so I
insane, man.
can't leave.
Overall, like the people here are so health conscious. They take care of themselves. So even the longevity here of life, there's a lot of older people living their life out. And that was an observation for me. I was like, damn, like people are living longer. They're very health conscious. You see people 80, 90 years old walking like 5 kilometers or 5 miles. Just
Yep,
walking on the trail every single day, and they're healthy.
yep,
And that for me is beautiful. It's like I want to be an old man, like still in good shape. I don't need a walk or anything like that. I'm not hurt in any form. It's just I'm really still put together. And so
yep.
that kind of gives you like hope in terms of what to expect when being in the side of the world. And not that you don't experience it at home. Of course, there's
You
there's
do.
there's longevity at home as well. But
Exactly.
again, there's just differences. Like there's a few things that I noticed that were different. And yeah, and like again, the language got me. The language was one of the hardest things to overcome. Now I'm at a point where I can speak every day, express myself. I can, not perfect, of course, but like I can get my point across in the best way I would know how to. Because you have to imagine, learning German is you have to literally unlearn what you learned when speaking the English language,
Yep.
and so not to dive so deep into that, but like literally it's if you translate one sentence uh, and translate that from German to English, you're gonna be like, what in the world what are they trying to ask me?
Right. Right.
And the same in German. So you really have to unlearn what you've learned when learning that language. In other words, when you're learning something new, you look for patterns
Yep.
to see what patterns can I see here that will help me further speed this, development process up. There's absolutely none. You have to just unlearn,
You're right. You just have to unlearn,
embrace
almost
it.
unlearn and relearn. But I
Yes.
say relearn, but obviously you're learning.
Yeah.
A different language. But I think that in itself is really cool to just quickly transition. And honestly, what comes to mind immediately is your little man, aka your son.
Yep.
To see him, when I have spoken with him on the video calls, to see him quickly go to German and then he's right back over here speaking English. It's really cool, just to
Yeah.
see that. And again, I know many people around the world can do that, but I don't have that talent, and I
No,
say
it's
talent, but I haven't
the
learned another
experience.
language,
Yeah.
right? To where I'm able to quickly do that. But I've always just been intrigued. Doesn't matter what language it is, just to see someone literally, real time, have a conversation. You have a friend that's
Yeah.
speaking with their mom or dad in whatever language, and
Hmm.
then they quickly can just transition right back into English.
Right. Right.
Really quick is pretty unique in my eyes.
I'm
So,
thankful for all my friends that are here know who they are. Where if I get stuck sometimes, because still to this day there might be a point, because every part of Germany they have a different accent. It's just like going from New York to the South,
yep,
uh, to Virginia or something, or somewhere deep in the South, or Alabama or Tennessee, where the accent is just thick.
right. The dialects change.
The dialects change, and it's the same over here. Like when I was in Frankfurt, you learn a certain type of German. I think they call it Hessisch or something like this,
Okay.
and you go further into the countryside, and I'm like, whoa, what did he say? I get stuck sometimes. It still happens to me sometimes if somebody speaks really fast. But I've gotten better with it.
You
More and
become
more.
more equipped.
Yeah, I adapt. My adaptability has been absolutely, I would say, is fairly good, um, and I'm also trying to educate myself. Every single day. Like I'm, on these apps. Duolingo, do it,
Yeah,
bro.
Duolingo. Every time you said, I'm
Best app
like, what
ever.
is it? I do have it downloaded.
Yeah, it's the
Like I
best
said,
app ever.
I'm in the very beginning phase of trying to learn German, but I
Yeah,
think just that experience of just doesn't matter what language you're learning, but obviously
yeah,
German because I'm going to be coming to Germany, sometime next year, and just to have
yeah.
again just as a knowledge, some of the words that can be used, some of the simple words, and again, as they say, once you're on ground, that's when it becomes real,
Yeah.
and the language is being spoken all around you, and you're going
Hmm.
out to eat or you're going to places, and it becomes that much more, real at that time. But one question before, as I know we're getting to the tail end of our episode, which this has been a great episode, by the way.
Yeah, I'm having it's been a good one. Yeah.
This one could probably go 3-4 hours, but we won't, because
Yeah.
obviously we'll save a lot of the content for the upcoming episodes. But one question I do have, brother, is if there's one thing you've learned about traveling, doesn't have to necessarily just be in Germany. I mean, obviously it can be German related. What would it be? And I know that's a very open-ended question, but
Sure. Definitely be open-minded. Okay. Again, it goes back to that rule of thumb where you have to sometimes unlearn what you've learned. When I was in the United States and I've never traveled anywhere in the world, I always had my one way of thinking about what home is and what life should be. I had one perception. So the way you deal with relationships, the way you deal with friendships, the way you deal with your children, the way you deal with life lessons, everything you can freaking think of. The more you travel, the more you learned how beautiful this world really is. And I am so thankful to have been able to have this experience. And we're gonna continue to travel, man. You come out to Europe, we're gonna see the world. It's gonna be fun.
oh yeah,
Um,
no, I'm
it's
definitely.
it's
I got a lot to see, both of
yeah,
us. So.
and you learn very quickly that this world is a lot bigger than we think, and it's a lot more beautiful than we think. And so definitely stay open-minded for sure. Got to stay open-minded, because sometimes what we've thought all along was right may not be right somewhere else.
Very
And
true.
then if you get two perspectives of this, two solutions as a perspective, possible solution. I just twisted my words. Forgive me.
Yeah,
You know, then you get a better overview on how to really develop yourself, and that's taught me a great deal about life. Everything from the moment that I stepped foot on European soil. My family even said it. They were like, "Man, you're different. You know, you. I mean, it's not a bad thing. You're much more open. You're not like, you listen more. Like, not that I don't listen, but
right. Like, you know what? Before you went to Germany, you didn't listen to shit. You're like,
not that I'm,
now you're
yeah,
listening.
not that I'm an asshole or something, but like,
Right.
it's. I've always been a good person, but I just approach situations different and much more openly. I really analyze and think about things. So not to dive a trillion percent into this full full throttle, but it's definitely be open minded, and if your overall goal is to develop and become a better version of yourself, then definitely one way to do that is to travel, so that we can get to know yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually. Uh, and
I mean,
yeah,
yeah, I think you nailed it on the head. I think this, and I'll wrap this up, but I have always been, and I was speaking to my brother about this not too long ago, and my mother, but I've always been intrigued since a child with the
mm-hmm.
globe. You know,
Yes,
I was that kid. You know, I assume they still have globes in classes. I know some of my daughters, well, both my daughters as well as your son. Well, I think my daughters are going virtual here in the States, meaning they're online. But that's the first thing when I would go to their class. My oldest is in fifth grade. My youngest is in first grade. But in their previous classrooms, I'm like, okay, where's the globe? I'm like, do they have a globe in here? Are they teaching you guys geography? Because I just think that's just so important. I'm constantly telling my two daughters I want you to think outside the box.
always.
And when I tell them that, it's a matter of expand your mind.
Yes.
Expand your mind, grow your knowledge. And again, that's just my direct advice,
Absolutely.
to my own two children. But even for me, and obviously I'm passing along just, how I've been,
Sure.
even to this day, just, I could talk about, the world, the planet for hours on end.
What's the coolest place you've been to though? We didn't even get into your side actually. What's the coolest place you've ever been?
I'll say this because I know we're wrapping up, but I would say the because again, this could be, a whole nother hour in
Yeah,
itself,
that's true.
but more than an hour. But I would say clearly the coolest place that I've personally lived so far, at least domestically, is Alaska. And again, we will definitely have to make an episode where we just share our experiences living there. I feel like Alaska is kind of this prehistoric state. And when I say prehistoric in the sense of there's a lot unknown. I mean, obviously people
Yeah.
that live there, they know a lot about it, but whenever I say, hey, I lived in Alaska, it's usually first two
Hmm.
questions I get is it really 24 hours of daylight? Is it really 24 hours of night? And it's just hilarious because it's like, okay, where did
Well,
they
well,
get
for
these
anybody that
facts?
hasn't been to Alaska yet, go ahead and break that down. How does it work?
Oh,
Because I know
well,
for sure.
well, yeah. Well, I mean, it obviously is depending on the timing of the year.
Hmm.
When it is wintertime, I would say your window is really, you're already
Yeah.
laughing, but your window is
Yeah.
really 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And when I say 10 a.m., so anything, and I'm speaking Anchorage, so, I didn't live in any other part of Alaska, but being on the military base, 10 a.m., and I'm thinking about when we had to catch the bus at 10 a.m.,
Yeah.
it was pitch black, so
Oh, it's
anything
crazy.
between, before 10 a.m. was pitch black, but it usually kind of had a, as I say, snow clouds are a little bit darker than rain clouds, at least they appear that way.
Right.
And so it had that very dark gray look,
Hmm.
from about 10 to 4,
Yeah.
so 4 p.m., no air fans or buts, pitch black. I
You
remember.
literally, you literally, you go to, you wake up and go to school in the dark, and you come
Yes.
home, and
And
this is
it's
only the winter, by the way, guys.
correct.
And you come home from school in the dark.
Correct. It's pretty, yeah, it really, because I mean, you figure by the time you get home, I mean, depending on where you live at, I mean, obviously for us, we can speak about living on a military base. So we
Hmm.
went to school in Anchorage. We didn't go to school on the base itself, and then coming home. Yes, by the time you got home, it was pretty much pitch black.
Crazy. I still can't
But
get over that.
for the flip side of that, for the other question I get, is it daylight all day, in the summertime? The answer is no, and again, this is just my experience when I was up there. I was there 97 to 2001, but and I would assume it's the same during that time. It didn't happen every night, but it almost has a dusk feel, to where, you could look up and it's 1 a.m.
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
it didn't seem to happen every single night. But then again, I wasn't up, all through the night waiting to see, hey, when's this, when is the sun going to go down, or that dusk look. But yeah, I would say, just to add to that, it does have a dusk feel. So it is definitely
Hmm.
unique. I mean, obviously that is unique in itself, to wake up
Right.
1, 2 in the morning, and, or if you're out, obviously we were younger then, but, if you become an adult, or not if, when you become an adult, and if you're out hanging out and you happen to come home at 2 in the morning, it could still look like dusk. That's pretty unique. So
Yeah. If from my memory, it was always the sun. What the like the darkest it would get would be a sunset and a sunrise. That would be the darkest we would
absolutely.
see. And other than that, bright as day. There's nothing you can
Right.
do.
Yeah, it is. If anything, I mean, we could sit here and promote where to go all day,
Yeah.
but I would definitely highly recommend, if you have never been to Alaska, to check it out. Alaska, what a lot of people don't even realize is Alaska is actually bigger than the state of Texas. So there's another cool
That's true.
fact for those that don't know that. As they say, everything's big in Texas, which I live in Texas, love Texas.
Yeah. I've been there a few
Alaska
times.
is technically bigger than Texas. I mean, it is massive. It is a massive state. But anything else you want to add to that before we wrap up, brother?
Yeah, no, definitely. Just to kind of just shed some light on that. Like I remember literally it was so cold. Oh my Lord.
Oh,
In
very
the
cool.
winter, you know, we both shave our heads now, but
Oh, I
when I
couldn't
had
imagine
my
being up there with a shaved head. I mean, I would be okay. I'd have on a beanie. I might have on two beanies now because my body would have to get reacclimated. I mean, it's been years
yeah, so
I've lived up there.
I lived in Anchorage when this is how we met, and then I for 1 year, and then I lived 1 year in Fairbanks, and Fairbanks is a lot colder than Anchorage, especially during the winter. So you're talking about 60 below zero Fahrenheit. So all my
It's cold.
European listeners are, I don't have the calculation in my head to convert that, but just convert 60 below zero, minus 60 Fahrenheit into centigrade or to Celsius, excuse me. and you'll get your answer. It is freezing. So back then I had my curly hair. I used to put gel in my hair and all that stuff. And dude, literally, if I literally had to dry, I had to dry my hair when I put the gel in it, because if not, if my hair was wet, by the time I got to the bus, for example, my hair would literally turn to ice if it was wet.
Oh wow!
It would start to freeze.
I could see that.
It was and the whole, there was a theory. I had a few questions. If you spit, in Fairbanks, I'm just talking about Fairbanks right now. If you spit, you're in the air doing minus 60 degrees, your spit would turn into ice before it hits the ground.
I can believe that.
I experienced that personally. Like you spit, and if it's cold enough, you're gonna hear like a little crack. It's gonna turn into ice by the time it hits the ground. Yeah, I've experienced that.
Up there, it's like you could feel like, and I'm just speaking about Alaska again, you could feel your nose hairs, which sounds silly, but you could feel like them, getting prickly when you be standing outside. You could just, it's immediate. You go outside and you're like, whoo.
You're like, what's going on here?
All right, it's very, it's it's
the truth. Yeah, it's really.
It is the truth. It is the truth. But this, again, I know I already said it. This was an amazing episode, brother.
Yeah, I had a great time.
I appreciate you sharing
Likewise,
your experience in Germany, and I know, again, you've got so much more you can share. Again, I can't wait to share that journey with you, meeting me physically and ground in Germany, because again, it's going to be an amazing experience. But again, as I've mentioned in previous episodes, this is our third episode, so I'll mention again, just in case someone.
Congratulations! Yes.
Third episode. Yeah, third episode.
We're doing it.
We're doing it. We're continuing to move forward. But for those that maybe just tuning right into this episode, which is fine, we will give you a quote of the day each week. So again, these are just different ones that we find that we think, depending on how we feel about it, we just feel sometimes they can be uplifting, empowering. But this one is actually from Nelson Mandela. It actually
for a second, I thought you were going to say me, Nelson. Okay.
No, you know what? I mean, I could say Nelson and your last name, but no. It's actually Nelson Mandela. So, but yeah, it actually says, if you want the cooperation of humans around you, you must make them feel they are important. And you do that by being genuine and humble. I think that is an awesome quote. I know Nelson Mandela has, there was more that I found, just from him alone. And again, we'll definitely be pulling from many, different, people in terms of quotes, but I do try to live my daily life as a genuine and humble person. I feel that just makes me feel better. And again, this is just me personally. But I've always tried to just wear that, as you said, we all can wear many hats, but I think that is one hat that's a permanent one, that I try to, when I walk out, and anyone that I'm speaking with, I don't care, race, creed, color, I don't care. I always try to be that genuine and humble person. I think it just also speaks volumes, because more people typically, you're going to want to be around someone that's more genuine and humble. If someone is, not that you have to be every single moment that you're around someone, but if someone is not in that type of space, for me, I can't speak for anyone else. I'd rather be around someone that's going to, if you will, be like-minded.
Absolutely.
Or even if they're not like-minded in that moment, maybe I can, give them that genuine and humble feel, because again, as we've said, in the previous episode, you don't know what anyone's going through. So that's another reason, I just try to make sure I walk out, I truly walk out with the hat. Hey, I can make a friend today,
That's it.
And even if I don't make a friend today, I can make someone smile. And if there's one thing God has blessed me with, I know I have the ability to make people smile. But how do you feel? You too. But how do you feel about that quote, brother?
Powerful. In my opinion, you have to. I believe in treating people the way you want to be treated, and also leading by example. So if you walk into a room where you see an interesting energy come towards you, everything in life is frequency. Everything is frequency, energy, the way you express yourself. We all we call it the vibe, and vibe is short for vibration. So vibrational frequency is what you're
Absolutely.
getting from an energy of somebody. So whenever we have to face, whenever I face something, I immediately, if I see that it's an energy that's, I would say, troubled, I do my very best to reverse that energy and kind of hit them with a smile, or I hit them with hey, everything's cool. How's everything going? I find a way to get into the soft spot. I try to find a way to crack a smile, and that's the beauty about humor and being funny and incorporating music, and because you really open up the souls of people. Everybody's a book. You got to open them up. You never know what's inside behind that cover. That cover could be the most misleading title to a story you've ever saw in your life, and it might turn you off from it. But what if that takes that one moment where you turn that page and you open that book to that person's heart, and what you discover, that could be your best friend for life. That could be your guide. That could be someone that saves your life one day. So it's a very powerful thing to lead by example, and do your very best to be your best self every single day, and do that by being genuine. So totally agree.
Absolutely. I couldn't
So
say it better. Couldn't say it any
definitely.
better.
So guys, as we've been trying to do for the past 5 minutes here,
Yeah.
we want to thank you guys so much for joining us on episode 3. We went off on a little tangent here and there, but there's so much to our journey that we just can't talk about it in a few sentences. We really
Not at
have
all.
to dive into these worlds, and but at the same time do it quickly.
Yes.
Well, not quickly, but just be conscious of how far we go in, just for time's sake. So for all you people that have joined us on this episode, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We love you already for taking your time out of your life to be there and vibe with us. And so
Absolutely.
if you're new to this channel, don't forget to press the subscribe button,
Yes, please
both
subscribe.
on the podcast, on our YouTube, everywhere. Guys, we're here to stay. We have a long journey ahead of us, and we're just getting started. So just get your
Truly.
mind right. If you're open-minded and you like, to have great conversations, then this is where you need to be. So until next time, guys, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time.
Take care, guys.